Hey everybody, welcome back to Titan Watch, and today we're going to be talking about the offensive coordinator for the Tennessee Titans that Robert Saleh just hired recently, and Brian Daboll. Many of you know his name, probably more for infamy than for fame, but I'm going to talk about why this actually probably was a good hire overall. So let's dive into it. First, obviously, Brian Daboll is coming straight from the Giants. He was their head coach. They did not have a very good year at all the past couple years. I think that Brian Daboll was in a position with the Giants that it just was a no-win situation. He ended up developing a much better offense for them, especially at the lead of Jackson Dart and, having, obviously learning under Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston as well. I just think that whole quarterback situation is honestly also a reason that the Giants didn't do as well as they could have. I think that there could have been a more established presence for Jackson Dart, saved for later time, let him learn under Russell Wilson, let Russell maybe could have gotten, I don't know, maybe more wins than Jackson Dart. I don't know. That's up for debate, really, but we don't know, and obviously we'll never find out. Or, well, I guess we could, but I just don't think that it was as good of a situation as it could have been. However, Jackson Dart came in and he did prove himself well, especially with Scadaboo as his running back and developing and making himself a presence on the field and just developing that offense as a whole. Daboll, that is his sweet spot. Their defense struggled quite a bit, and that was the problem, is they were going into a lot of games and they were leading a lot of games most of the time and then just lost it all, and the defense just fell over and just gave up, and the offense just couldn't keep up anymore, and they just gave up the wins that they could have had. They really could have had more wins than they actually did. However, we are here where we're at now. The development that Brian Daboll gave to Jackson Dart, I think, is going to be very correlating to the development that Brian Daboll can give to Cam Ward, who I think is better talent than Jackson Dart. Jackson Dart is good, don't get me wrong, but I think Cam Ward does have a little bit more natural ability in him than Jackson Dart does, and I think Brian Daboll will be able to bring that out. He helped develop Tom Brady early in his career at New England. Overall, Josh Allen's transformation from a raw prospect to MVP caliber, in quarterback in Buffalo, that was because of Brian Daboll a lot too. And he maximized limited QB talent with the Giants, including a playoff run with Daniel Jones. And we know how Daniel Jones was with the Giants. I think his defining traits is not system rigidity, but is system adaptation. He sees how he can adapt that quarterback to that specific system, and he can unlock their potential, basically. I think his, a lot of his philosophy is built on spacing and layered route concepts. Pre-snap motions and he creates defined reads for quarterbacks that fits that system overall. His schemes emphasize decision-making speed, protection, identification when it comes to their offensive line, and leveraging quarterback strengths rather than forcing the quarterback into an uncomfortable situation for the offense overall. He is very good at adapting the quarterback to that system. And I think that this is honestly the fit the Titans needed, because we've been so rigid on offense. It's been pass, run, or run, pass, third down and out, whatever it's been for the past 2 years, and it's just not been any sort of prevalent. Even when we had Derrick Henry and Ryan Tannehill and we made that deep playoff run, I still think that system was very rigid because we relied so much on Derrick Henry and his running ability and his ability to just shred tacklers off and to get the yards when we need them, that we didn't have a fluent offense. We just had more of a rigid baseline offense that we were pushing and trying to just establish. And then in the later years of Henry, when defenses finally started picking up and loading the box, you started to see the weaknesses of that system overall. And I just don't think that it fit the Titans anymore, and I just don't think that it was adaptable enough for Ryan Tannehill, and that's also why he started to struggle, because when they started stopping Henry, it was forcing Ryan Tannehill into more situations rather than just being able to play off of what Henry has already done. He was being forced to actually generate progress himself, and that just wasn't successful. However, I think that Daboll is going to bring a system to the Titans that opens up that adaptability across the field, so we don't have to rely on such a rigid system. We don't have to rely on one specific player to do everything for the team. We are able to use each and every position, whether it's a wide out, whether it's a running back, a tight end, to the best of our ability to be able to drive down the field and and get in the end zone and score. I think that Cam Ward is going to be great. He's going to be greatly developed under Daboll, and I know he's out for a little bit because of his injury. But when he comes back and he starts to do that, I think we're going to see a very huge spike from Ward this year, or Ward this upcoming year compared to his rookie year for sure. And I think he also accelerates mental processing with defined reads for the quarterback as well. They're able, Cam Ward, he's already very quick with the trigger, which is good. He can see the field very well, but I think that Daboll will give him that ability to just make a read just that much quicker and get the ball off that much faster. He did struggle in the beginning getting the ball off. He was holding onto the ball for an average of like 2.5 seconds of play, which was a problem, obviously, because that opened up the D line to getting him to him because he was holding onto the ball so long. But he became a lot more quick with the trigger later on in the season, which helped his ability. And whenever he actually opened that up and became more comfortable, he was able to actually start producing results. And you saw in the later half of the year, Cam Ward actually started to open up and actually started to show why he was a number one pick overall. And some of the plays that we saw him make were absolutely astounding, and he had those flashes in the beginning and then obviously developed more into that. Now with a second year under his belt behind Daboll is going to just help him to be able to visualize and see all these, and use motions and formations to identify coverages as well, which is going to help Cam Ward's mental game overall because he's going to be able to see what the defense is doing, go from there, read from there, develop his checkdowns, and to be able to see what he is needing to see on the field to get the ball out quicker. And I think obviously building confidence is a huge one as well for a younger quarterback and a younger team overall. And I think that he also Daboll is more about controlled aggression rather than being conservative in his play. He is not. He is aggressive with his play calling. However, it's controlled and not to the point where he is. He's putting his offense in a position where they're going to make mistake after mistake after mistake after mistake. And again, that's where it comes to that adaptability. He might, hit you with a deep route or deep route concept one play, and then the next play they're just going to go for a little dive to be able to get a couple yards to put themselves in a better position. And then it just varies really. I think that he has a very good history of developing elite QBs. He has very good scheme flexibility. He is very strong situational play calling. He understands the game very, very well. I just don't think he was a good fit as a head coach because he is so offense oriented, and that's where he struggles as being a defensive coach or getting his defensive coordinator to establish what they need to do. I think the potential risk is it does require better O-line. He does require strong O-line communication, which we've struggled with our O-line in the past couple years. But Carmen Brasillo coming with him, I think, is going to be huge because, again, like I talked about in the Robert Saleh video, one of the Giants' highlights was their offensive line. I think they were actually in the top 10 of the offensive line units in the NFL this year, which is good because that is what we need to bring to our offensive line because we have Peter Skoronski, J.C. Latham, and we're going to have new talent that we're going to be bringing in as well. And those two already are needing to develop more and more, and I think that they just have gotten the kind of crap end of the stick whenever it comes to developing because they just have not had a balanced and fluid coaching staff around them that can help develop them, even though they were, pretty high picks in their own regards. And I think that he does lean pass heavy a little bit over running, which is a little bit odd for the Titans because the Titans have traditionally always been a lot of the times run-based teams, especially in the years of Derrick Henry. But I think having said that, Cam Ward is the perfect candidate to lead a pass-heavy offense. So I think that is good. And as long as Cam Ward develops that trust with Daboll, I think that those two will thrive well together. And honestly, Daboll is not going to just install an offense. He's going to build one around Cam Ward. That is what he is good at. He is good at establishing that quarterback and developing the system around that quarterback. You can, like I said, you can put many quarterbacks in many different situations with Daboll, and you're going to find that it is very beneficial for those quarterbacks and the team overall. I think that the Titans search for the offensive direction and going with Brian Daboll. I think that was the best move of Robert Saleh right in the beginning. That was a very good move, and I really actually think it's an underrated move in most regards, and a lot of people are not going to see the the upsides of it due to his time and stint with the Giants, but that's okay. We're going to see what comes of it. Anyway, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and next time we're going to talk about Carmen Bricillo and how he's going to establish a good offensive line unit for the Titans overall. Tighten up.